I want to introduce the zones of control framework, and some of you might have already been exposed to this. But this is a tool that, as we dive into the boundaries conversation, helps us make sense of our boundaries in a little bit of a unique way. And I first learned about this tool from Patricia Fisher, who is from Tend, which is a great organization if you're not familiar with it. And they do a lot of training on secondary traumatic stress. And the idea with the zones of control framework is that it really helps us identify things that we can control, things we can influence, and what we need to accept and release. And I think that this is helpful because one of the things we do when we are doom scrolling, when we're overwhelmed, when we're stressed out, when we're hearing all these things happening in the news, is we focus on all these things that we don't have control over, that no matter that is not something that's within our purview. And I was doing this. There were things going on that I'm like, if I could just stop this war here. And that's not something I necessarily have in my control, right? So this is really, but I'm spending a lot of emotional energy on it, right? So let's sort through these. So it's really about what is yours to carry. Now, zones of control are the areas you have direct power over. Think of these as your anchor in the storm. It might be how you hold space in team meetings or how you show up in team meetings. It might be how you communicate with others, including things like important information and updates. It might be how you regulate your nervous system, how you do a 60-second calm reset, how you might, what you choose to model, how you choose to show up. That might be it. Or you might have a role where you have control over maybe teams or cultures in different ways, right? Whatever your role is, it's thinking about what you have direct control over. You do not need anybody's permission. It's something that's right there available to you. Okay. So just thinking about that. And I will say, often it's important to spend most of our time in our areas of control and our areas of influence. So that really is the second one, zone of influence. That's areas you can provide input. This is where advocacy lives. So these are basically, you can talk to other folks who have control to create change, but you can't alone create that change on your own. So maybe it's partnering with others for policy shifts. Maybe it's writing letters and offering testimony for larger groups. Maybe it's sharing impact stories that highlight the human cost of certain actions or inactions, right? So this is where we get to inform and educate. And we have 172, I think, advocates on this with us today, right? So this is so much of what we do every day, all the time. Now, the final is the zone of acceptance. These are areas you cannot change. And honestly, this is the zone of grief. These might be laws or executive orders that come down that today I can do nothing about it. This might be institutional decisions that are made far above your pay grade. It might be your organization merging with another organization and creating all these changes. It might be cultural changes or resistance that you can't change overnight. So it's not something you can do or influence right now. And this is particularly frustrating, but is also where when you're distressed, you spend 80% of your brain power. I know I do. And I've talked to many people that have the same experience, that we really focus all this time being angry and frustrated and sad about things that we can't control. And that's okay. That's where we have grief. And that's where you move through the phases of grief, right? That's why I introduced the grief framework. Be angry, be sad, be, overwhelmed. And eventually there's a time where it needs something that needs to be accepted and moved into advocacy, right? And I think there'll be some folks who are a little frustrated hearing this. Please don't hear that I am dismissing all the pain and suffering in the world. But what I'm talking about is our ability as unique individuals to best contribute. Because what often happens, if you're like my aunt, for example, and you spend all this time being angry and sad, you don't have anything left to actually give to create the change that you're looking for. So I invite you to grieve the things that are outside your control and influence to better align you with the things that are.